dream. Okay. Check refresh title. Okay. So let me just come in here real quick to make sure. Okay. So, we're in here. We're in the building. All right. Let me just do a quick check. Everyone. Just sending a little. All right. So that's hi everyone. Oh, see, it's see, this is why I did the check. This is why I did the check because right, it's supposed to be that right, okay, there you go. So that's why I did the check, so I can make sure when it came on, it would come on correctly. So how's everybody doing today? Hold on a minute. Let me change my audio output. Well, okay. So we got that. This is really just a talk. I'm just here to get ready to introduce y'all to my next show, which is the Great Britain Great Deceiver series. So it's gonna be a few things that we cover. So while I'm here, I'm rolling up. Right, I promised that I wouldn't do shows while I'm smoking, because worse enough, I be having problems with the pronunciations and all of that anyway. And then there'll be, intoxicated, you know what I'm saying, with the herbal essences, it doesn't help it, right? So, like I said, the next show was gonna be about. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm chopping up some greenery here, right? So the next show is about Great Britain, right? Now, I've always, broke down, the Scottish Rite and the York Rite and Britain and all of that, right? But in the next series, we're gonna go into them and their views or, Great Britain's claim that, you know, they have the divine right to rule the people. So the things that you doing, the satanic system that you're seeing is all set up with that in premise. And it's done through Freemasonry, right? So what we will be discussing is how Great Britain has been setting up this system, right? They was already in place. It's the British Empire. So they already had their little satellite, individuals already. So what they've been doing was slowly introducing people to their new system, right? Because the old system would be the Roman, which would be the Catholic system, right? So this new system, the satanic system of deception, right? So we will be dealing with not only how they came up with the plan, but, of how to implement it, but also we will be discussing how they see this as their right. You know what I'm saying? Now, many would say that, the Jesuits had set this system up. They clearly associate themselves with the Jesuit system. And this is why you would see, a lot of support, for, certain individuals and what they do. So we'll be getting into, the history and all of that as well. But like I said, I just really wanted to give this update on what I'm doing, right? So, like I said, my next mission would be I'm gonna break it down probably into four subsections. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be, the main series, and then it would be other like, well, it'd be the main series, meaning like the folder would be the main, topic, which is Great Britain, the Great Deceiver. But then in that, I'll just do it in smaller sections, because each section, when I did the recordings for a lot of them, when I was beginning to, I seen, the length of time that it would take just when I was doing them already in that little, section. So, but inside of this, so let me just go through a little bit of this slide. So I didn't do the hookup. I did this little thing right here, Great Britain, but I didn't do like this, you know what I'm saying? So I did this. So we'll be touching on Natalie Conti, due to the fact that you could see his vision, right, in shows like Game of Thrones and all of that. So not his personally, but he was the one who was able to write it for us to document it and then trace these actions and go, okay, yeah, we can see this and other things. So he basically, came up, stated, I'm not going to say he came up, but he basically stated that, inside of your writings is these messages that you put in, and especially when you're dealing with mythology and history and those type of things. So you do it in this way where the audience is so engulfed into it that and seeing themselves inside of your literature, that they don't see the magic, or the spell, that they're being put under, right? So, with him, we'll be, touching on, his impact in all of this, right? So, we'll be touching on this. It's just like little quick slides, of the stuff that, we'll be touching on. So the things that I'm saying, already, what we'll be reading more in depth on, right? But it says right here, this is the last of those slides about him. It says, for Conti, myth was a literary artifact on which the mythographer could freely use his imagination to reinvent, right? Pardon me there. To reinvent the literal subject matter into a kind of metatext, which the interpreter reconstructs into his idealized self-imaging text. So that's very important, right? How the person designs the text. It's like when you watching the show or a movie and you like, yeah, I can relate because, X, Y, Z. So, but first, before you had moving picture, right, you had, the stage, right, still. So you always had, the arts, right? And so inside of that, or just reading itself, the person would be able to see themselves in the writings. So if they see themselves in the writings, whatever you put in the writing, you're actually putting in to the reader, right? Because if they're so engulfed in the reading, the morals, the messages, the concepts, and all of those things that you put into your story, you're actually putting in to your viewer, right? Because they relate to the story. So as they relate, you're allowed to put, new things in there, especially if you're going to transfer society. So like we can look at, always look at your major shows, right? Your major shows that had not just a large impact on society, but a lot of seasons, right? So if we take, Game of Thrones, 8 seasons, and, they got spin-offs, right? That's something you need to look into. If we look at shows like Sopranos, right? Large impact. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning Sopranos in this is because you could see the grooming, like, okay, now mental health is real and seeing us out. But these things were implemented through shows like that. So even the tough guy gangster that everybody laughed at, would laugh at if he was seeing a shrink, right? So they addressed all of these things in this slow grooming manner with all of this chaos around it to groom the people, right? To the part I did shows on it. So the part when the wife turns around and tells what the uncle's been doing in the bedroom. I showed you how that works. But when we also look at individuals, like I said, the grooming of the acceptance of the gay thing, right? Because here go the main character, him and his boys, they like, nah. But then when he gets into the comedy, well, if you in jail and, that's a different, you see how they slid in the making the excuse for it. Like there is a time when these activities are okay, is what they base. So they're opening up a door for its justification. Like there is room for its justification, right? And so as long as you provided that room, right, in a society where it wasn't accepted at all, now you slide in these things and you're doing it at the end of its series, because that was like the last season, right? That they, the second to last and last season is where they went hard on making this, the subject, because they knew that if you did that in the beginning, you would have automatically lost viewers, like Empire. You know what I'm saying? Like it might have lasted for 5 years, or whatever amount of time, but me and many people was out by season 1, season 2. You know what I'm saying? By season 1, season 2, the latest, it was over. Like we good. Like nah, I seen all I needed to see for me to say nah, this is not gonna turn out good, right? But then you got other shows like what do you call it? The Shy, where they again did the slow grooming process. So I couldn't tell you what they doing now because I stopped watching when they went full-fledged LGBT. Like I said, I don't have a problem with that community. It's just that I don't want to be a part of it. Like I don't want to know what you're doing with your personal activities, and I don't want you grooming and conditioning me to accept certain things in society as acceptable when, like I said, it's not the lifestyle, it's the things inside of the lifestyle, right? So meaning that, hold on a minute. Yeah, pardon me there. Just rolling up a bit. Um, So, like, okay, we'll look at, like I said, movies like Cutthroat City, shows like Godfather of Harlem, right? And you'll see this, either this, implementing of this gay activity to be gangster, raping men, and right, these promotion, the things that you see, the promotion, in the Bible saying was wrong, you see now they trying to bring, the city of Gomorrah to fruition. You know what I mean? So, they're promoting what they're saying that was wrong to make it acceptable. Right? Like, this is the thing. This is what you expect when you come across this. So this is, you can study Natal Conti and you can understand this science, right? So we'll be touching on them, but like I said, I'm really just mentioning them in the sense of understanding um what is taking place. Some people you don't need to necessarily, like, if you read them and you understand this stuff, you can see, like I said, the truth, right? But for this, just for the sake of argument, I'm just saying read him to understand the plot. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? And so you can him explaining it within, the literal text is very important, right? So then, let's go ahead. So then we'll be talking about um the Masonic goddess. Now, if you see, I told you already, the Masonic symbol represents the vagina. So, right, so you have Danu, this Irish mythology, right, who's so, now mind you, the reason why I'm stressing the Irish thing is because we know King James and all of this. So they set up their system, the Scottish, the Irish, right? They already had their system with cants and those type of things. So they have their system up and running. Who are they praying to? Right, Danu, right, meaning the people of the goddess Danu, right? So, mother of agriculture, property, right? So this is just some of the things that I wanted to point out, that tribe of people of Danu, but it goes like this. Now they're also known as people of skill, right? So we're talking about craftsmen, right? It goes like this. It goes, which refers to the artistic skill. In early Ireland, artisans and other skilled workers were known as is dana, right? Or people of skill, right? So we go down, right? And so we understand, right? I wanted to, it was something inside here, but like I said, I'm not doing the whole show now, but it's showing, this is the goddess, this construction that they're doing, right? And these are the people, the Masons are the ones, of this skill. So they'll go around and they slowly groom the people into this new thought. Like we hear Killer Mike, calling, God a woman, right? Subliminally. But then you'll make this the number one song, in an urban song to make it, right? So it'll land up in more people's hands and it is subtly, coincide with the promotions. Yeah, the woman is God, right? So pay attention to how the grooming process is working, right? So then we touched on, or we'll be touching on the British monarch, right? And, we say the bloodlines and these type of things. So when we talk about this, right? Yeah, people saying the Rothschilds and these type of things, but understanding who were these, these royal people, right, within the British, bloodline, who is claiming this divine right, to rule and dictate over you, right? Like I've said, God would be the Babel. If we saying God in itself, would be the Babylonian system, right? So God would be the Babylonian system, right? Jesus would be the Roman system, and the Satanism, spirituality would be the British Empire, and their approaches to forming the way humans see the world around them. So this is a slow process. It's a grooming process, like you see now, people up in arms with the the LBG community. But if you was to go back to, let's say, from the 60s, right, you could see it, when you paid attention, you would have paid attention to the grooming process. So we've been already in the grooming process. It's like, but if you look back even in small spurts of history, especially now in the digital era where you can actually, see this carbon footprint, or this digital carbon footprint, should I say. Right? So in this, we'll be covering, as you can see, the different bloodlines, and we'll be learning why the Germans said about the Third Reich, right? And how, they basically felt like they were being robbed, of it, because they did a switch on them. You know what I'm saying? And switched it over. So we'll be talking about, the scepter promise, right? This ruling, and how, it said, within the Bible of this process, taking place, or them having a right to, right? So we'll be touching on, again, the star prophecy, or the star and scepter prophecy, right? And how this system is designed, this written, how they say, like, the Bible was written, or history is written every 2,500 years, right? So the new Bible is being written as we speak, right? And so while they're doing this, they need to link it to the old story, which would be, the Jesus story, the God story, Old Testament, New Testament, and I guess it'd be like the newest testament or the final testament. You know what I'm saying? But either way, this is the we'll be going through the scriptures and how this story has been, developing and growing to what we see as the satanic system now, right? And so we'll be going off these scriptures in the Bible, right? Like I said, we'll be touching on, a lot of this will be, scriptures and how they play a part within this story, but how the original story, the Bible itself, and how this design is allowed to do the shift that it's doing now, right? Basically, you put out a book, you made sure that you put it out, so you had things in there that you can turn around and be somebody enlightened on, like, oh, you missed this, oh, you didn't see that, this is what this mean, right? And so you can do these in slow processes. So you say, okay, at this point in time, we'll reveal this stuff. Then at this point in time, we can reveal this or this, right? So even though the book is there, right, and you see how they always coming out with revised versions. So as they're doing that, you would never know when the switch was taking place, right? Because the craftsmen or those who are outside the book getting you to look in it, right? Because this is where they trained you to look for this insight and guidance, right? So then as you're looking for that insight and guidance, remember, this is, the tree of good and evil, right? Tree meaning, the book, wood, paper, right? So this information of, good and evil. So while it could be, used to cater to someone's, good side, there's a system inside there that also, if you switch the vision, you could see it in its negative light, right? And so you can, use that same book for either side. So it's, the tree of good and evil, right? So, as we say, I did a show on Tamu and, this date of revolution. So they also documented this, right? Talking about March, but then they also, point out the summer month of Tammuz, right? Jeremiah. So, and why that's important, because that's the month of revolution of, we could, you look on, just go online and you look up, like important dates in June, July, right? And, throughout the world, what I'm saying? And you'll see how many times this scenario has played out within that month, but it was deliberate, right? So it can live out the quote unquote prophecy, right? So, this is the Mormons. We'll touch on that. So again, we touch on, this feminine energy, right? So we follow these females connected with this same biblical story, right? So like I said, you could read the story from the male's aspect, but there are females aspects inside there. And if you read it from that way, you would get a total different, view of things. That's if your mind is able, to do it. Right. So like I said, we in this, we're seeing, this feminine aspect. So then we'll look into, the House of Windsor, right? And this is, the British royal house. And we'll see how once again, right, it's following and is dictated by the feminine. So this is how, this is when they made the deal. They came, I'm going to get into the history of when they made the deal, saying, okay, we're going to, not necessarily war with each other because we're going to come under, this banner. And, because, through the break, it's like chess, what I'm saying? You're narrowing it down to the final, what's that movie? What's the name of the movie? Highlander. Like, you ever see Highlander when it says there can only be one, right? So it's just like that. So, you have all of these competing factors, and then it's narrowed down to one. So the family that it was narrowed down to, right? Now, mind you, there was a split between the Germans and, I want to say the Scottish, right? Right. So, that house, the English and the Scots and them, right? So inside of that, we could see this, the deal being made, right? So, and then we could also see, like I said, how the Germans felt like they were robbed. And this is how we get World War II. World War One, too. World War One is when they actually set up the house, and a few months later, the assassination and all that happened. I think it was Argentina, Australia, something like that. Argentina. And that was the cause of World War One. And then World War Two, again, we know Hitler having beef with the Jews and the Freemasonic system. And so what I'm doing is bringing to light what was being said that the people didn't know what was being said, right? So, we go into this whole monarch to see the house of steward of King James. So from King James and his line, right, which came under this feminine thing, like I told you. And that's how we wind up with the system that we see. Right? I also did the history of Austria, like, and his wife Sophie, was assassinated. So this was basically this root of World War One, right? So I just put that in there. So also, like I said, put the German sentiment and how these things came to be, because even inside of the Masonic system, I remember, if I'm correct, the Germans even had beef with the French. It was like saying that, nah, why would we have to be under them? And so a lot of people don't understand, these things and what's taking place, like, because the promotion is one thing. So you have a promotion that's saying one thing, to the public, but those who, understand, the politics of things, you can look back now and do your research and be like, oh, so this was what was really, being said and taking place. So what I'm doing is, basically bringing that um, um, indirect, conflict, meaning that not what they're telling the people, but inside their own words, what they was really, taking place, right? And again, you'll see Shakespeare caught up in the middle of this. Um, I did a show on Shakespeare and his involvement in this, this black magic, right? And if we look at um, um, Natal Conti, right, after we go through this, right? Let me come through all of this right here. Okay, so before we touch on the Conti thing again, I also broke down, the two families, the York Rite, and the Scottish Rite, and showing how these were actually, family houses, right? See, like the many were not aware that the British monarch is connected to the promise God made to Abraham and King David thousands of years ago, right? So I'm showing you how, this system is also connecting itself to the Bible. So we see in this, remember I said this new Bible being written. And so this is what you see it taking place, right? And like when Ireland, right, United Kingdom, and you see Ireland, if it's not a part of it, it's just, you know, um, it's like Britain and not, Great Britain or the United Kingdom because Ireland is not a part of it. So when you look at Game of Thrones, which is a history, of these different nation families, structures, this is what they was referring to. Right. So now when we think about Natal Conti, right, we see a story, right? This is Rehoboam. This is, supposedly historical facts about, the offspring of David, who's, from the mother of a foreigner, right? And because of this foreigner, you know, she basically had David, I mean not David, Solomon, committing these sins, worshiping foreign gods, and those type of things. So, oh, by the way, don't forget to like, the subscribe, and the notification bell so you can be informed whenever new content is uploaded or whenever we go live. As well as, let me put this up here real quick. Don't forget to check out my book, Street Skelzy, Knock 'em Out the Box. Right? It's about two brothers on opposite sides of the law who must team up in order to figure out their father's killer or killers. Right? It's a murder mystery that takes you running throughout the city, and it's very fast paced. I did a whole spiel on it, so I'm kind of, as you can see, I've been smoking, so I'm telling you all of this late with it. What I'm saying, within the show. So, nonetheless, um, right. So when we saying, this structure right here, go how this foreigner, they deem that as a wicked thing, so she's gonna be deemed, or demonized, right? And so now we're following, this Jewish law, mythology, right? But is constructed off of, real events, but they're telling it in this kind of way, that when it's passed down from generation to generation, it's with precaution. Like, yeah, you don't want to look at the position we're in this position because we had this great empire and yada yada yada. So with this, we're learning how to take real events, right, and put it in a kind of shorthand, which would be, the Bible, where it's it's a few different things, right? But most of what people are telling you is them. You know what I'm saying? Like how they, bouncing from this scripture to that. So they're not telling you necessarily what's in the book. They telling you, this, and this is in the book, and they're making it seem like one so they can control a narrative, right? So that's basically what's happening here. These little pieces are being condensed and it's giving a narrative. So somebody is taking the same art of the book and using it outside of the book, the bouncing around to make a story, right? So inside of this we see, this construction, of King Solomon's temple with demons involved, right? King Solomon's temple would be, his wife, Naamah, his wives, this is where, but they worshiping foreign gods, foreign rulers, their rulers from their land, right? So even if, she came, into your household, most likely she didn't come on her free will. You understand? Most likely she was traded off, enslaved, and this was her basically her deal. Like if you do these things right here, you live. If you don't do these things right here, you die. So that was like so even though she chose to live and say, okay, I'll be your wife or a concubine or whatever, it wasn't natural, right? So of course she's gonna still look back at her land, no matter what condition it was, no matter and because he had love for the person, right? He started practicing these things, which weakened the stability of his empire, right? Because he's Moses took them out of Egypt, right? Basically cleansed them up, said, listen, these are the things you don't do, these are the things you don't involve yourself with, right? And saying that this is the reason why they were having the problems they were having, because they were doing things of the foreigner. Now these things of the foreigner were poisonous, right? As to those that they had under it. Like, okay, say you have a group of people, right? The purple people from Mars, right? Now they don't want to do the work, so they go to Jupiter, grab the orange people of Jupiter, right? They don't take them all, right? They take enough just so they could do the work, but they also have a psychology to where you can keep them near at bay because you play a pecking order and a ranking to where they think, right, throughout them there could be somebody else that make it to the acceptance of the purple people. That's the whole system. So now, right, the purple people, they got ranks inside of them, right? But any rank that they have is a status. So now they can use that as well in small pockets against the orange people, right? And cause contention, right? Through them, right? Because the orange people who are allowed, to bootleg and, be around the purple people, they can say certain things. They can install certain complexes and insecurities in that that orange person, and they take that back into, the community. So now, right, there's this ricocheting and a lot of purple logic in the orange. The orange, community. So they're trying to do purple things, but the only way to do purple things is on orange people. So here go orange people who have to do it on orange people too. Like they don't have nobody else to put in that position. You see what I'm saying? So even if, you had yellow people and polka dots, whatever people, that might be looked down upon by the purple people, right? It doesn't matter because all of those people can still maneuver to where the orange people stay in that position, right? And so that's, this science, right? And so, she, the wife now, she's basically bringing in mentalities like worshiping things that, the prostitution, homosexuality, these type of things she was ushering in, right? And not just her, the other wives as well, because, they were saying this was okay. So next thing you know, the poisons from the outer communities were actually right back within, that. So this is that Satanistic, demon worship type of thing, that they're referring to. And so in this case, it would be Neymar, right, which would be, his mother, right? So then we look at, his ascendant to the throne. Now if we look at Game of Thrones, right, we can see the blonde, I forgot her name, the blonde mother with the snooty, with the son, and she wound up having problems with the church. Now this we can look at as a part of this, and we can also associate it with, the establishment of the British Empire, right, with King James and all of that, right? So this story, can have parallel effects. Just like how, we could say, the horoscopes and how it could be on different levels, and right. So it's the same way where, as above is below, meaning that the stories were first came from the kings and attributed to, stars and constellations and stuff like that, right? Because this is where the story would be. So now those stories that was up in the sky is like basically saying it was prophesized through, these royal members and these times and dates. You know what I'm saying? Like, so attributing the Virgo sign and, the things that it originally meant to what you see today, right? And so the rulers or something would take place that is attributed, to the Virgo, and they'll go, see, this right here is that. So it's how you say it, as above is below. You understand what I'm saying? So, the same way as, from before was from below as above. Like from the things that was happening down here, it was being attributed to the stars. Now that those stories are made, right, they're using those stories to attribute them to events back down on the planet. You see what I'm saying? So as above is below. So it was just a cycle. You understand what I'm saying? Of telling the story. Okay, so, right, so there goes a session to the throne. He was basically a prick. You know what I'm saying? So this would cause, like, remember the empire was falling apart. According to the story, the empire was supposed to be broken up, right? It just wasn't going to be happening in Solomon's time due to the promise that was made to David, right? So now you have, okay, the deal is off, and so I can, let whatever's going to happen. So inside of this, the way he was treating the people that was already shaky in Solomon's time. This is his son, right? And so they coming to him making deals with him. He's like, nah. And so they basically revolted. So you had, the northern tribes, 10 northern tribes, they both basically went their way. And, which is what you call the Israelites, right? And then you have, the Jews, right? Which would be under this, king, this oppressor. That's why you hear them say they're not the same. These are the people who's the oppressor of even, their own people, right? So, this is what just so you have an understanding of Judaism. So when you're looking at Jewish people and they going, nah, don't confuse us. Those are the Jesuits. You know what I'm saying? And so when you hear like, the Israelites and stuff like that, when they're saying they're from those 10 tribes who broke away from, that Jesuit system, which is, this oppressive system, right? So that's why he says, King of Judah, right? So he basically was this tyrant, right? He, and so from that he winds up going under Egyptian control, because you got to remember at one point, they was really shifting where they was under control from. So at one point in time, they would be under control of the Babylonians, and another time they was in control of the Egyptians. So when you understand, you need to understand this history when we're hearing, um, the Egyptian folks saying, yeah, they got it from Egypt without understanding. They're not necessarily talking about this part. When they're talking about is when like Pythagoras and them went into Egypt, right, into these cults. So they learned how these cults operated to control a society. And so they went back into Greece, into the European nations, and that's how they develop Western philosophy. So now in that comes a lot of this. So yes, you could say, but I'm just saying, and for people to understand what they're referencing to. Now this right here is because Egypt was basically, holding them, because there was the empire. So, and I'm using this as a reference when we look at, the the British Empire, and their satellite states and stuff like that, and understanding how, they, an empire works and having these people under you. Like we can look at, commonwealths, what do you call that? Puerto Rico, right? So Puerto Rico was a commonwealth of America, right? So it has, voting rights, but it's not, you understand what I'm saying, a part of. But, so basically you have this overseer who you rely on and dictates your life, because with that, even though you're not saying you're a part of them, you're a commonwealth of them. So I'm just saying that just so we have, a clear understanding. But, Egypt, they turn around, they put them, under them. And, so we touch on this. That's what we say, how they had these satellites and, the Ottoman Empire as well as, you see it right there, British Empire with vessel states, right? So whatever way you try to word it, just understand that these are this same system. So when they say, oh, they learned it from Egypt, these are the things that they, that I feel, I could be wrong, but these are the things that shows to be a strong reference to what, or the strongest identity to what is being referenced to, right? So, where they pay tributes, basically puppet states. They learned this system. So when you thinking they're saying certain things, I'm just saying it's in the woke community and whatnot, you need to have a full understanding of its pot. Like I said, I'm not gonna say it's okay, is this all the way. This is for you to explore, right? I'm just saying it shows strong possibility. If you agree with me, cool. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, you don't. But like I said, it's showing, strong possibility, right? So we also cover, succession to the throne, right? And, again, this is mattering because they mention in the wives, right, and the concubines. Now, as we follow the Europeans, right, and the British Empire, you'll see that they're saying it comes from, the female side. This is why I told you, the Freemasonic symbol is a vagina, right? So you'll see this, like I said, if you follow in the British Empire in this construction, as we will be going through, right? You'll be seeing all of this, right? So we see the rabbinic literature. So keep in mind again, remember, Natal Conti and his, belief in real people, the gods, the heroes, and this, right? So as we're seeing what he's saying, where did he get it from? He's looking at these structures. So he's giving it in a way like as if he's coming up with this, but he said he felt, so he never really take claim. He says this is what he felt. He just never gets into, I guess, directly, the roots. But I'm showing you the roots of him basically seeing it within the Bible and this. So when they're constructing the satanic system, deception and this type of stuff, they're placing a whole system on it, right? And like I said, we can see it through the rabbinic literature, right? So now you can see that rabbinic literature, right, which they try to call mythology. I just call it history shorthand, right? That is delivered where the perception of God is a mythological being when God is a system, right? And government is, a large part of that, along with the sophist, the prostitute, the liar, and the philosopher, the truth teller, the truth seeker. So now you have a story Asmodeus, or Asmodi, right? And this would be, right, pardon me. Asmodeus. No, this is Asmodeus. Rehoboam, right? King Solomon's son, right? The herbal's kicking in, right? But King Solomon's son. This is like basically the reconstruction, because this is, the Abrahamic, the prince of demons in the Abrahamic literature. So now they redesigned or reconstructed a story from the invader, right? The mothers, because she was the one, who gave birth to him and caused this. So now, right, King Solomon's temple, which was built by this demon, right, in the Talmud, right, Asmodeus deserves, right, means wrath, right, demon. Nonetheless, his sons did exist in books of the Talmud, Asmodeus, right, Zoharitism, right? So as we seeing in this Talmud and Jewish literature, right, how you shift a true story into a mythological story. So even the mythological story is a true story. It's just the world that you built it in, right? So it's the young lady who made Terminator and Matrix, right, and saying how this was, the future, and John Connor, Jesus Christ, and right, so she's telling you how she created a world. She's basically showing you Freemasonry. When you listen to her, she's showing you the art of Freemasonry. Right? And so if you listen to what she's saying, and if you can grasp it, you can be able to see it in other stories, right? And so once you're able to see it in other stories, you know history, you understand this skill, right? This design, then you can go back into the Bible, read real history books, right? And understand that, oh, so these are just historical events, right? Not necessarily of just a ruler. It could be, Adam and the making of a slave, and the invention, and the work week, and all of those type of things. You can learn, from different aspects, because remember, it's a shorthand. The Bible was just historical events in a shorthand way, and then making those events one thing. So like, say, under this rulership, these were the great events that took place. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how, if you can grasp that, then as this new story, this devil worshiping, we can see how long it's been actually created, right? And this system. So we have, this Testament of Solomon we'll be going over, right? And how Asmodeus aided and abetted, right, with building, and so you see, Solomon here, and his wife, who was basically, hounding him, getting him to do things, that wasn't gonna sit well, right? The lesser keys of Solomon. So we'll touch on, all of these different things, right? In Islam, right? So again, now when we go into this section, the fairy queen, we can go back to Natalie Conti, right? Natal Conti, and we can see his work again, because we can look at this. This is, an epic poem by Edmund Spenser, right? And so this goes back, so he's basically designed this poem, for the royal family. So when we look at Game of Thrones, if you understand the fairy queen, right, and you watch Game of Thrones, you could be like, oh, wait a minute. I see, these elements, and I understand, it should become more clearer, the magic part of it. Well, yes, because the magic part has actually sections too. So, this is a part of the magic part, right? So you're getting an insight through the magic of constructing a world, Tinseltown, all, right? So designing a world that the people lose themselves in is, like a large part of the magic. And then the promotion of it, like we say in the Matrix, right? And you hear people, out in the regular conversation, red pill, blue pill, you know what I'm saying? These type of things, that world was created and is kept alive through these quote unquote cult followings, where it's a part of their life, their conversation. They're associating it with that movie, or movies, that series. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is, that magic, You understand what I'm saying? So when we look at, you know, the fairy queen, we understand Natal Conti's vision, right? So we can see this playing out. I mean, not just his vision, but we're just gonna label it as his vision as we use him as a reference point, right? So we can see his game plan, right? And then we can see this, playing out through, different individuals who understood it while, right, being under the system of building a satanic system. So when we talk about Lucifer, right, and being a female, we'll get it, from, these things. Mary Elizabeth, changed the official religion of the nation to Protestantism. And that matters because, inside the Protestantism, they was given, this is how they silently shifted, this feminine quality, right? And so, just understanding, these parts of history, and if you took these parts of history, right, and we understood them in its bigger picture. That's what the main point is. Understanding this in its big picture, right? Because there's a giant picture that you're actually in. And so that's what I'm showing you. I'm showing you the painting, the brushstrokes that's taking place right now, and not only designing this world, but who are those constructing it. So if you want to understand, study the British Empire. Right? Study the British Empire. Study, the philosophy. You gotta understand philosophy and psychology if you want to understand the magic, because the history, right? The speculative part, because you got the operative and speculative. So the speculative part is building the world, this system, right? Just think of the matrix and all of that. The easiest way to understand the building the system is look at people running around, with the matrix. So, right, so you have the speculative, which are the building of the system. Then you got the operative, the history, the real events that take place that feed the speculative, right? So you got real events, the operative, right, that are turned into this imaginative, speculative world. And so both of them together, right, is building the society and the things that All right, so this is what we're gonna be covering in greater detail, But I just wanted to, and you see how long it took. You know what I'm saying? Just to break down what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Look, and I'm still, clicking away. I think we should be at the end right there, right? All right. So, and that's like close to 100 slides, right? So just to give you the heads up, this is what we're working on. Great Britain, the great deceiver, right? The writing of the new Bible. Who's in control? When those people enter those lodges, like I said, we got mad videos. Don't hesitate to check them out. And for the people, for the new subscribers, good looking out. I seen y'all. I wanted to give y'all the shout out. The next time when we start the series, I'll actually give you a shout out at the beginning of the show. I told you, I just really was just, coming by, to give y'all the heads up on what will, which coming, and after that, it'll be a lot more simpler. Like I said, the things that we will be addressing, it won't have to be as much literature. See, I did the literature part. I did all of this reading to get it all out. So that way, when anybody, not the people who know me and know that I know what I'm talking about, but for anybody who thought that this conversation was just gonna be some simple thing, I had to show its complexity, right? I had to show its level, its design through time. So that way, anybody who even attempted to, right, say what I'm saying, they would sound like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way for you to make this is like when you hear people say, "Oh, I wasn't raised in no religion." That came from me, right? You know what I'm saying? That was especially in the woke conscious community, because in actual fact, I wasn't. Anybody who know me know. From a child, I know people I can go to right now could tell you, like, yes, 9, 10 years old, he questioned it, and not buying into that. I got people who can verify this. You know what I'm saying? So, when you see these things, just know these are, and like I said, I document them, through Facebook and, those, like dates and showing that, okay, well, if you was saying this, why weren't, like, I might not get the million views, but there's dates on this. You know what I'm saying? And so there's no way for something like a show I did about King James and all of that, right? Oh boy, what's his name? Something Crumb TV or something. He was on Killer Priest, and I was in the comments section. And so I documented these comments and stuff, just so I can go, okay, now I put that out there. Y'all wasn't saying that before me. You know what I'm saying? None of this stuff was being said. I basically, put that out there through real research. And so the only way, for people to combat it in their system is to basically give the same deliver. Right, we're gonna go through my Facebook groups, from conspiracy groups to atheist groups, and you'll see how I've given this information. We'll go into the group, dates, and see if they were making these posts before me, right? And we'll see now, when you'll see the impact that I've had. You understand what I'm saying? You'll see it. You'll be like, yeah, he's definitely been, silently, excuse me, silently in the background, I've been moving and shaking with the right individuals. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I said, before my accident, I was out and about. I was doing a lot more. So that's just a given. But I'm saying, as far as now, I just been, the way I've been giving the information is through, these certain groups. So I have roughly, I could point out the last, well, I can show you a long time, right? Even before, like I said, how I started doing it to now. You know what I'm saying? And you could see the wordings of the people. You could see, the things that are said in its impact, right? And so that's all I really do it for anyway. Like I said, I don't ask for, no financial, contribution. If you want to contribute to the program, all you got to do is, go on Amazon, type in Street Skills, knock them out the box. That's one of my books, or Freemasonry and Yanni, pardon me. Freemasonry and Yanni worship, the second killing of Jesus, which is another one of my books, right? And you can purchase it, and like I said, there's no robbery and fair exchange. If you pay me, you know what I'm saying, and you walk away with something from it, and I mean, on the physical, you could go to my shop, get one of my merchant, go to my merchants. Hold on. I forgot. I got my coffee mug around here. I had just cleaned up, so I think I just took it inside the kitchen. But I'll show you, my coffee mugs. You know what I'm saying? T-shirts. All of that. Just go to the merch. I make my merch myself. You know what I'm saying? I got to update my shop. I haven't, like I said, when my computer went down, I basically had stopped working on some stuff. So now that it's back up, I'll be updating my merch. We got a new season coming in, so I want to, update some stuff, put some new color schemes in there. All right, so that's basically it. I'm gonna slide out. I'll probably come back in a few and start this series, because I want to get the series out, though. Like I said, I've been working on this for a minute, so I want to get the series out. You know what I'm saying? Give y'all this information in its totality. This was just a heads up, and you can see how long the heads up was, so you can just imagine, how long this show is. These series is gonna be. Right, like I told you, it's about 100 slides. Until next time, or later on today. All right, people. Peace. Oh, and the reason why you haven't heard me doing the shout out to the name of the show is due to the fact that I was looking, and like, this name is too common for it to be. I need it to be more difficult, right? So that way it's easier for you to find the show. So I'm thinking analytics, something with analytics in it, or and something, something along those lines. I'm not really sure, but when I come up with it, I'll let you know, right? Until then, next time, peace. Or don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell, so you can be notified whenever new content is being up. Oh, while we here, right? I got some drops, right? So, let's go through them.
Are you the devil, a demon, leprechaun?
Right, so because dealing with the subjects that we dealing with, right?
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
Right. I made this myself, actually.
You work for the devil. You work for the devil. You work for the devil.
It was from that clip in another clip.
That is how all kings are created. It is also how gods are born. But please, don't believe me yet.
And I'll be using this one a lot. Right, that one I'll be using a lot.
Their secret mission was in trouble.
Right.
You lying ass bitch.
The devil is a motherfucking liar. So I ain't worried. Biatch.
Females are the ultimate status symbol. People think I'm running around with these hoes because I like sex. That's nothing to do with the reason why I'm running around with these bitches.
Go out there and become the type of person that when your feet touch the floor in the morning, the devil says, ah, shit, he is up again.
This is actually one of my favorites, right? When I heard that, I was like, man, you know, that right there was a beautiful one for me, right?
You lie!
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me. Run for it, Marty!
Okay, so those are the my drops you'll be hearing as we go through this. I forgot about it. Like I said, I just wanted to come by real quick, do this, give y'all the shout out as I get ready to do this series, because it's gonna be a minute. It's gonna, you know what I'm saying, and I had to prep myself. I wanted to prep y'all. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, until next time, peace.